Let's see. I'm going to share it a few places so other people watch it. Looks like we've got a watcher. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We're giving it a few shares, and we'd invite you to do the same if you're watching with us. And certainly say hello in the comments. That's the only way we know that you're here watching us. Good morning, Angela. I'm going to give it a couple shares, and then we will get going.
Is that your Angela?
That is my Angela. Yeah. Or I guess our Angela. She's not all mine, but. Hi, Janice. I'm gonna do one thing real quick. Stay with us. We're giving it a couple shares, and then we will get going. We'll get going. Hi, Daryl. Looks like Daryl's watching too. Let's see. Hi, Daryl. Looks like Daryl's watching too. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. If you are just tuning in with us, we'd invite you to say hello in the comments. We know that you're watching. That's the only way we know you're here, and we appreciate you watching. We'd also invite you to give this a share and let others know that they should watch along with you. If you've never joined us on the C Show before, my name is Kim Baker. I'm with the Gallatin Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are so glad to have you here with us today, along with a special guest and a good friend of mine, Ron Wade from the American Legion Post 17. Welcome.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I know, Ron, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll get started with all you have to share in just a second. For those who are just tuning in with us, I would say that the Chamber exists to support, educate, and engage our members, which the American Legion Post 17 is an active member of the Gallatin Chamber. And in order to do that, during these times, we've been bringing folks the C Show for the past several weeks, and just to keep our community connected and keep our members engaged and in front of people. So thank you for tuning in with us. And Ron, thank you for joining us. I think Angela came up with a creative title for today, and I think it's called Veteran Chat, Camaraderie, and COVID. And I know that has been something very important during this time, and as we talked about it earlier. But for those who are tuning in and maybe don't know, why don't we start off by telling them who the American Legion is, what they represent, and what y'all do in the community, specifically here in Gallatin.
Okay. Thank you for asking those questions, and thank you for inviting me as well. Yeah, the American Legion is the oldest veterans organization in the United States. There's 1.8 million members in the United States and abroad. It started actually in the middle of World War One. The World War One went from 1914 to 1918, but the Legion was started actually in Paris, France, by Theodore Roosevelt Jr., he was a lieutenant colonel. He and a few people got together and decided to start the American Legion. And what they're involved in at that time was to help veterans when they returned home to adjust. And some veterans that didn't return home to help their families to adjust as well. So it's all about Americanism. And just talking about well, for example, out of the last 13 presidents, 10 of them were members of the American Legion. And we're proud of that as well. Also, there are people like the well-known General MacArthur and some of the others, and Clark Gable, for you people that know who he was American Legion as well, and Humphrey Bogart. And so there are a lot of people that are famous and were interested in supporting the veterans. Now, let's talk about Gallatin. Well, first, let me back up and talk about the state of Tennessee. Right now, there are currently in the neighborhood of 20,000 people in the state of Tennessee that are members of the American Legion. And there are 180 posts. So obviously we don't have that many counties. So there are a number of posts that are 2 or 3 or 4 in the same county. Like we have Portland has a post, a small post up there. Hendersonville has a post. We have a post here in Gallatin. And and we all interchange ideas and experiences. Our post was started in 1920 by John T. Alexander, who happens to be buried right here in our local cemetery. And he got together with a few folks and started it up. So this was right after the Legion was brought into focus. Also, the American Legion they were very, very upfront in starting the GI Bill and also Veterans Administration. They were very active in getting that going in the United States as well. So getting back to Gallatin, we have about 375 members. We operate on 1140 South Water, and some of you may be familiar with the restaurant, the Old Glory. We own that, but we lease that out for operation. But right behind that is an old motel that was built in the early 50s, exactly. And there's 30 units, and it's called the Veterans Home, but it's really a veterans residence. It's not for people that have health problems and things like that and need health assistance, medical assistance. But we rent that out to the veterans. They do pay a small nominal fee, 1/3 of their income. Also over there, we have a PX, which is like a veterans military store. And a lot of the local churches submit items to us, and we put it in the PX, and that's free to them. They can go there twice a month and get everything that they need, food, toiletries, anything they need at all. And it's all free. And they also get a break at the restaurant, the Old Glory. And we have no funding from the government. We are self-sustaining. How we do money is we do the monthly breakfast we have. It'll start up again in July. That's the first Saturday of July. And it's $5. And boy, you have never had a better breakfast. We have people come in and say, this is the best breakfast in Gallatin, but I'm sure there are a lot of restaurants that say the same thing. But anyway, we think it's the best one. You have to come and enjoy. We also have, in the Legion itself, there are 4 different pillars. There are the Legionnaires, who are members like me that served in the military. All you have to do to be a member is serve in the military at least 1 day on active duty from December the 7th, 1941 to date. Now, up to last year, you had to be a member that was in the service during a war conflict like Vietnam, Korea, and World War II. That was changed by an act of Congress last year, so any member can join. That's male and female that's been on active duty. We also have the Sons organization. That's the second pillar. And the sons are any son, grandson, granddaughter, not granddaughter, grandson of a veteran can join the Sons. And we have a small group of sons here in Gallatin. Also, the auxiliary. The auxiliary, up to about a year ago, used to be just for women. To date, it's now for men and women. Also, any woman that her husband was in the military, or a daughter, or daughter-in-law, and granddaughter, they could join the auxiliary. And then there's the riders. This is the guys that like to ride on motorcycles, and they raise their money by having motorcycle rides. And it's kind of interesting because they have to pay to enter the ride, so they're paying to fund the fund, so to speak. And they may ride 25, 50 miles in one day and end up like maybe at Gallatin and have a little dinner or a luncheon or something there. And then they take their funds and they put it back for veterans and any type of activity that veterans may need assistance. We have a board, and on the board there are 10 members. The board consists of a commander, that's who I am, recently elected, and we have elections every 2 years, and there's a vice commander, second vice commander, we have a chaplain, of course, a finance advisor, and the rest of them are just advisors of different committees. We have committees for different things. We have on a state and national events that we participate in here. We have boys baseball in the summertime. Of course, it was canceled this year, but the Post 17 here in Gallatin has a team, and we play with people here in this area, and then they compete statewide and then nationwide. Also, there is a boys state that was canceled, unfortunately, this year, but that's 1 week, and we sponsor boys from the local high schools to go to that, and they learn about government, local government and state government and federal government, which is really great. We also have an oratorical day, and that is where youth, we will sponsor youth to go, and they have to give a speech about the Constitution, and they compete with local people and then on a statewide and nationwide as well. And they receive scholarships from that event as well. And we have a honor guard. The honor guard, any veteran that passes away and their family would like to have them fold the flag and do the 21 gun salute, we do that. It on a national level, it's only if you were a 20 years in service and more, retired from the military, or you were a officer, you would get the 21 gun salute. We give the 21 gun salute to anybody that served in the military. We don't care. So that's kind of a synopsis of what we're all about. We have Christmas for kids as well. We go to the local grammar schools and middle schools and find out who the needy children are. And we take the parents to Walmart and give them a couple $100, and they can buy gifts for their children. We ask that they buy one set of clothing and shoes, and then they can buy any toys that they want. And what we do is we'll wrap 2 of those presents and then give the rest to the parents to take home and put under the Christmas tree. And then those 2 parents, Santa Claus will come to the Legion Hall, and we'll have a dinner or a luncheon, either one, for the families as well as the kids, and then they get the 2 presents there. One of the main things, though, that we are involved in is we have our hall rental. We can seat up to 125 people. We're not very expensive to rent. It's only $50 an hour, so it's a pretty good deal. A little advertising here. So anyway, that's kind of what the American Legion is all about. We're here to help veterans and participate in the community. We do the Veterans Parade every year here in Gallatin. I'm proud to say we're a member of the Chamber of Commerce as well, because I've learned a lot from being in the Chamber of Commerce. I've met a lot of nice people, and the interaction with them has been beneficial to not only me, but to the American Legion and the veterans. So I appreciate Kim and her staff and everything that they've done to help me along too. So it's been a learning experience on both sides, learning from the Chamber and learning about the American Legion, like this opportunity, which I'm really grateful for. So Kim, looking for any questions.
Absolutely. And you're right. I think it has been a learning opportunity. I've learned a lot about the Legion. And then I learned some stuff today I didn't know about. I didn't know about some of the things that y'all are involved in. And I think that's great. And I'm sure everybody is watching, or at least almost everybody probably just learned something too. And I know somebody chimed in. I saw it on here. Oh, Ronna said, yes, the breakfasts are great. And I can attest to that. We've been to some of the breakfasts at the Legion, and they are one of the best breakfasts. And I was going to see if I can, I don't know if my camera will go that far. It won't. But I have up on over here, I'll show you before you leave, I have the flag that you presented to me when my dad passed away. And so I have that here in my office. So I look at it every day. It's right in front of my desk. So certainly a big impact you'll make here in the community. And we appreciate that. If anybody's watching and has any questions, do drop those below, and we do our best. If you have questions for Ron or even myself, we'd be happy to answer those. Let's talk a little bit about membership. What does your membership look like here? And, what are some needs and opportunities? If one wanted to get involved, I know you talked about who could be involved, but let's talk about how they could get involved and then why they should get involved.
Okay, that's a good question, because we're like a lot of other organizations. A part of the problem is the American Legion has this quote unquote stamina about it, that it's a old man's organization and all they do is sit around and tell jokes and drink. Well, that's far from the truth. It's way far from the truth. Although we do have a lounge, but the lounge is only open to memberships, and we only serve beer and wine coolers, I think. There, and they have a patio out back that they can go in, have TVs out there for sports and things. So membership is a big problem because there's a lot of these older fellows are passing on. The World War II guys are just about gone. There's only a few Korea people left. Vietnam, the veterans of the Vietnam Association, and I know there's one in Hendersonville. The problem that they're going to have is that there are no more Vietnam veterans. I mean, there's not another Vietnam, thank the Lord. And so that organization is going to fade out. In fact, some of them have already closed their doors. And any of the other veterans organizations that exist are having the same issues. So if we can't step up membership and get younger people to be involved. Now, when I'm saying younger people, I'm talking 50 years old. Okay, if we can get people that are 50 years old to join, because a lot of young people that just got out of the service, in the service, they have children, they have baseball, they have all of these activities going on, and as you well know, in high school the baseball season lasts all year long. They're either practicing or playing, and football season's all year long, and band camps all year long. So there's a lot of activities for these younger veterans that are getting out of the service. So we are working on trying to come up with more activities in the Legion Hall that is geared to families, young people, whether that be dances or a theater night or just a cookout and this includes the whole community, not just the veterans. We want the community to be involved as well, as we want to be involved in the community. So membership is a big issue, and as I've taken over now as the commander, what I found out is the board members that we have, the 10 board members that we have, Most of them have been there quite a while. And I have got my first younger person on the board this last year. And it's going to be a transition period. We're going to transition into having younger and younger and younger people on the board. Is that going to be an issue? Yeah, it's going to be an issue because the old guys are set in their ways and they don't do it their way. And excuse me. And the new guys have got some great ideas and want to get their families involved and things like that. So it's going to be a transition period, but I'm sure with a little bit of assistance from a few people in the Legion, we can make that transition where we have younger people involved, and it'll go on. If we don't do that, 20 years from now, the Legion won't exist. And yeah, that's a national problem, not just a Gallatin problem. It's everywhere. So membership is on the top of my list for all of our organizations, for the Sons, for the auxiliaries, for the Legionnaires. And we don't have a writers group right now because that's just, we just don't have anybody that's has a motorcycle and wants to get involved. We did have it. It was only 4 or 5 people, and that was 2 years ago. I just went by the wayside. And I don't want the rest of the organizations to go by the wayside. So number one is our membership. Now, I'm proud to say that over the last year, since July of last year, actually, we've had 31 move-ins. And that means that they were members and they transferred in. So they moved into the Gallatin area. And we love the growth in Gallatin because this helps everybody, and including the veterans and the American Legion. We also had 24 new members come in, and I'm happy to say that probably 20% of them were under the age of 30, and the other were up in their 50s and 60s. So I see some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to membership. And I'm just tickled to death, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to be a part of the American Legion. My experience was I was in during the Cold War and also Vietnam. I was in the only service, the United States Marine Corps, and I served for 6 years and was in a helicopter squadron in California and was able to train pilots and crews to go to Vietnam. And that's about my story. Any other questions?
I think that's a great story, and I know I know my membership struggles and challenges and opportunities are a little bit different than yours, but I understand recruiting members and especially keeping them diverse and keeping them engaged. There's a lot for them to learn from each other, and it's important to have everybody around the table together because there's a lot more value that can be brought to the organization when everybody joins in on the fun. So, and I love that number about the move-ins. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I'm really pushing too is we have different committees, and we have the membership committee, we have a committee for baseball, and just a group of committees. There's about 10 or 11, 10 committees. And it's always been the same people on the committee, and it's always been the same people on the board, and the board's the committee. And so we're supposed to have committee meetings at every one of our regular meetings, which is the second Tuesday of every month at 6:00. And we have a free meal for all veterans and their wives to come if they would like to. And so we I'm trying to help build these committees and get more young people in these committees with not better ideas, but newer ideas, maybe I should say, and see progress. And that's what I'm looking for.
I like it. What about, real quick, before we wrap up today, the Veterans Parade? You mentioned that, and tell people when that normally is, and are you planning to still carry on with it this year?
Yes, it's been something they've done for years and years and years, and we won't stop doing that. We've talked about changing it from Veterans Day. We usually have it the Saturday before Veterans Day. We've talked about that. In fact, I think I even talked to you about it, Kim, about changing it to the 4th of July or some other date. And we're still hashing that out, or if we want to change it or not. Mainly changing it because we don't get the participation that we'd like to see for Veterans Day. Part of the problem is it's right before the Christmas parade, which is wonderful. We participated. In fact, we even won a little award last year in the Christmas parade. Yeah. And but we'd like to see more people turn out. But there's another way to look at that too. As most everybody knows, if you want something to be successful, get the kids involved. Okay. So we've talked about going to local schools and seeing about how we could put some programs in there, some competitive programs that they could win some things and be involved in the Veterans Parade. So we're looking at it a couple of different ways.
Perfect. Well, one last question before we wrap up, and something I've been asking our guests over the past several weeks. We know that the COVID situation kind of flipped everybody's life upside down, but there was a lot of good things that came out of it too. And what have you been doing over the past several weeks to kind of keep a sense of normalcy, and then also any silver linings you found?
Yeah, I think that I found that our board, even though we set, apart and wore masks and everything, but we did continue to have our board meetings. And we even met on a more regular basis than just once a month. And that allowed us time together to work on things for the future, like membership and things like that. So there was more time for serious discussions on taking things forward. And I think that was a big plus. And I think the other thing that came out of this is we focused on going out and visiting veterans that are shut in, that can't get out and have any visitors and everything else. As a matter of fact, right after this meeting this morning, there was a veteran. It's his 91st birthday today, and I'm taking 3 or 4 guys, and we're going to go over and sing happy birthday to him and those kind of things. So we try to do things like that as well for the shut-ins, and especially during this time period.
I love it. That's so important. I think it's important. And like you said, I think what we've seen is a lot more people come together during these times.
Yeah.
I've seen people just even while we felt like less connected in person, a lot of people have become more connected in different areas. So I think that is certainly a silver lining.
Right.
Well, we so appreciate you joining us today, and we so appreciate everybody joining with us. And most importantly, we appreciate your service and everyone else with the Legion and everyone who served. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. I really enjoyed being here, and I enjoy the relationship with the Chamber of Commerce and you personally.
Thank you, Ron. Hey, everybody, thank you again for watching today. We will be back on Thursday at 10 a.m. live on the Chamber's Facebook page with another episode of The C Show. On Thursday, we will have another good friend of mine, lead pastor from Freedom Church, Terrell Somerville, and we'll be talking about reopening the church, best practices and strategies. So we hope to see you then. Have a great day.